My name is Ed Anderson, and I'm the geology teacher and head of geology at Queen Elizabeth Sixth Form. So, what obviously will be the top question you would like to know about is what is geology, and why should you consider it as an A-level option? Well, geology is basically it's the science of the earth, and it looks at several different things. The most important thing geology focuses on is what the earth is made of. And planet Earth is ultimately made of minerals, and there are lots of different types of minerals. And as students of geology, I'll teach you how to identify the various types of minerals. Now, very importantly, minerals make rocks, and that's the other key component. And what's fascinating about rocks, really, this is what geology is truly about, is each different type of rock is formed in its own unique way. So some types of rock are igneous, they are formed by volcanic processes and crystallization of magma. Other rocks are formed by plate tectonic collisions and involve lots of heat and pressure and show great deformation structures. And other rocks are formed by this, the deposition of sediment at the bottom of the sea or in lakes. So each type of rock is formed in its own unique way, and I will teach you how to identify rocks, be able to understand what they're made of, and understand their origin and what processes have, come into play to form them. And from that, we can start to reconstruct the history of the Earth because rocks tell a unique story. And then the other thing that we look at is the other components in rocks, such as fossils. Fossils are a record of the various life forms which have existed on planet Earth. And what's very noticeable is that the old rocks show more basic life forms, and as rocks become younger, that reflects the evolution of life into its rich and diverse forms. And another thing about fossils is they tell us so much about the environment of the past, so we can reconstruct ancient, wonderful environments. And another interesting thing about fossils is every now and again in the geological record, the existing fossils just suddenly disappear. And that's because every now and again, bad things happen on planet Earth. We have these mass extinction events. Sometimes they are the consequence of lots of processes operating together, which can reduce biodiversity. Sometimes it's just a bad day on planet Earth. Things like asteroid impacts can have a huge catastrophic effect. The other things we look at in geology, uh, processes. Planet Earth is a very dynamic planet, and you've probably heard of plate tectonics and how that shapes the Earth, creates mountains, creates ocean basins, continents, and it also creates lots of hazardous processes, like volcanoes and earthquakes. And that's another huge area of geology that we need to investigate because there's a goal in geology, and that's to be able to give people warning of some of the dangers posed by geological hazards. And that's again something I will teach you. Now, what's great? Oh, sorry. What's great is questions come from. You'll hear the voice of Helen, a colleague of mine, who's reading the questions for me.
Okay, so the first question to come up then is what exam board is geology at QE Sixth Form?
We use the Gcse exam board, which is great. I've been using it for a very long time, over 20 years. The Gcse exam board came into place into being a couple of years ago, but they used to be a different exam board. And so I've taught their version of geology's A-level for a long time. It's brilliant. It works really well. The syllabus is really interesting. The exams are always well done. The marking is fantastic, nice and consistent. So I have no problems using the Educast exam board. It's great.
So what sort of exams do they do
then? In your assessment for geology comes at the end of 2 years. Geology is entirely exam based. There's very little coursework, and the exams cover all the various key topics. So we have questions that will be questions about rock identification, mineral identification, fossils, and then you have to answer questions based on your knowledge of how we can use these rocks, fossils, and minerals to reconstruct ancient environments and obviously talk more about their significance.
Okay, so a couple of questions here. So do we go on any trips? And also, is there any field work? So
Yeah, same question. Yes, under normal circumstances, we are often out in the field. Obviously, we've got the problems of COVID at the moment, but we do go on lots of field trips. There are five, if you like, compulsory field trips you have to go on, part of the course, and they're all to locations in northern Britain. But there's also a big international field trip every year in October, under normal circumstances. We go to the French Alps because the French Alps is the creation of an enormous plate tectonic collision. So it's a great place to teach about rocks, deformation structures, plate tectonics, and it's also just a cool place to be for a week. We go to Chamonix in the French Alps, so that's something to look forward to.
okay. What about the field trips? What do you actually do, Ed, on those trips?
A typical day on a field trip involves going to great landscapes, wonderful places where you will get to learn how landscapes are not just the result of random chaotic processes, they form for a reason. We'll look at the rocks in that landscape, tell us what they reveal about ancient processes. And I also teach you all the various skills that you will need as a geologist to be able to interpret and identify rocks, fossils, minerals, geological structures. Sometimes they involve close inspection of rocks. Sometimes they involve, sketching landscapes. And there's a big emphasis on fun as well, because obviously the best way to learn, particularly in the field, is to enjoy the subject. So there's a lot of emphasis on that.
Okay, so someone's asking, what's the best topic we learn?
Geology. There are so many different aspects of geology. So you will, as I said, you will look at rocks and their formations and their composition and what they tell us about the past. Alternatively, we learn a lot about geological processes. We spend a lot of time investigating what they tell us about past events, such as climate change, and then we use the knowledge of the past to look at how we then predict the future. We also look at the applications of geology in the real commercial world. We spend a lot of time looking at how geologists solve problems such as finding groundwater reserves, how geologists play an important role in civil engineering. Whenever a structure is built at the Earth's surface or a tunnel is excavated below the ground, it's geologists who've got to find out about the potential geological problems caused by these structures. Pollution, there's an awful lot of pollution at the surface, and sometimes that pollution ekes down into the ground and contaminates groundwater supplies. And it's geologists who find the sources of those pollutions and work out where it's going, so the problem can be mitigated. So there is a huge range of topics, applications, which is the best one, the whole subject, because it's very synoptic. The whole thing comes together with one unique type of science. So
okay, Ed, somebody's asking what a class size is like.
they can vary. It all depends. So the classes will never be more than 24. The geology classroom is actually a very big classroom. It's from the science laboratories. Sometimes, again, depends on recruitment and how the various numbers of students spread across the different classes. It can be as little as, say, 16. On average, 19, 20 per class. Quite small.
Okay, so someone's asking, how will I be supported going from GCSE to A levels?
In many ways, in some ways, you kind of won't, specifically realize. I take the subject quite slowly to begin with. Obviously, there's problems with teaching at the moment. You're at home, you're not learning the syllabus it should be in the past. I'm aware of that. So when you start the A level, we'll take the topic easily. We'll look at concepts slowly. I will build up your confidence in being able to understand how science relates to geology, how you identify and describe rocks, and then slowly the pace, the complexity of the subject increases. Once you are confidently acquiring the knowledge, and then we go to higher pace. There are tutorial sessions that I organize, so you can come along and get individual support. There's lots and lots of online resources, many of them made by me. You'll watch many videos of me explaining processes short, snappy 5-10 minute videos which you can watch. So sometimes you don't get something in the class, or you're doing some revision. Oh, I've forgotten how to identify this particular type of fossil. There'll also be a video for you to watch. So there's multiple ways in which you will be supported. And can I also say that, I like to think these are successful, because geology does get very good results. We have a track record of being one of the best A-level subjects in terms of results, not only in the college, but also nationally. Geology does very well in comparison with other centres across the country.
Okay, because someone's asking, sorry, further down the list then, what are your pass rates?
Very good, very good. The last time students went through their exams, which was 2019, we got excellent results. Nobody in the 20 odd years of teaching A-level geology has ever failed it. And usually the measure of success is what is the high rate percentage. How many students get A stars, A's and B's? And it was 68% the last time we took the course. Sometimes it's as high as 70, sometimes it drops down to about 60%, but it's also always very high.
Okay, so someone's asking, how are the exams structured? Are they short answer or mainly essay based?
No essays. There are no essays. Geology is a science, so the questions tend to be short, snappy, factual-based questions where you'll be asked your knowledge of how to describe things. So you'd be asked questions about, say, describing a particular rock. How do you know it's that rock? Well, you can recognize it on the basis of the minerals which make up the rock, or maybe the size of the components. Then there'll be short questions about the interpretation. What does that rock tell you about how it was formed, and what does that mean about the past? And then you sometimes get evaluation questions. And there's a lot of problem solving as well. So a typical question would be, you show a photograph of the field setting, there is a great geological structure, maybe a fault. Okay, how did that form? How would you recognize it? What does it tell us about landscapes and what's happened in the past?
Okay.
So short questions.
Right, okay. And next question up is, do I have to have studied geography to do geology?
No. What I'm asking from the students to have is basic passes in sciences and maths. There is an independent maths. Geology is a science, and like all sciences, it is tested and evaluated using mathematical rules. The maths is relatively simple. If you can add, subtract, divide, multiply, that's all you need to know. There's a little bit of rearranging of very simple equations. You don't need to have done geography. Lots of my students have never done geography before and are very successful in geology. Doing geography sometimes is helpful, and I often explain geology to geographers by saying geology is a bit like sciencey physical geography. So if you like physical geography, like volcanoes and earthquakes and waterfalls, natural landscapes, geology is more to do with the science of how those things form.
Okay, so I've got a question about what would a geology A-level help me achieve?
The most important thing geology A-level will help you achieve is to solve problems. Now, that's the basic requirement of all employees. They want people working for them who can solve problems. And that's what geology is all about. It's about using data. It's about using field observations, about using descriptional evidence, okay, to work out what's happened. The problem solving is often done individually. Very often you do it as part of a team. You'll also improve your ability to write, use science, use mathematics. There's a lot of IT in geology. One of the exciting things we do in second year is we look at how Google Earth applications can help us understand earthquakes, which have just literally happened in the last several hours, and what they tell us about plate tectonic processes. So as the geology, you will learn and practice and develop and improve a whole range of skills. But I think the most important thing that you will learn and improve is your ability to solve problems, which is good fun as well.
Okay, someone's asking, are there any practical elements to the lessons?
Lots of practical elements. The lessons are mixed up, so usually there's a little bit of theoretical learning and kind of practice of that. Then we often go into a kind of more practical side, which will involve use samples of minerals, rocks, fossils, maps, looking at landscapes and looking at the various geological components within a landscape. And again, it's all about working out the hazards in that area, what the rocks tell us about how those landscapes came into being. And obviously, when we go on field trips is all about the application of practical work. Sometimes under lovely conditions, I can't guarantee that the sun is always going to shine on field trips. Sometimes it's pouring down, but hey, you have to get used to working under quite hard conditions sometimes. And sometimes we do field work in very exciting places, like when we go to the Alps, for instance, we go to the tops of mountains. We don't climb them. We normally go in cable cars, much easier.
Okay, so what are the college entry requirements then?
The college entry requirements for geology are 5 GCSEs, minimum grade 4, but I do like students to be confident, comfortable with science. So I would look normally for a 5 in maths or a 5 in some of the sciences, but it's not a official requirement. 4s is the minimum requirement.
Okay, what have your past students gone on to do?
Lots of things. Lots of things. So there's those students got really switched on to geology as an A-level. I'm doing this for a degree, and not only that, I'm going to become a professional geologist. And I often get emails from students I haven't seen for years, telling me what they're up to in far-flung parts and corners of the world. They have become exploration geologists, they've become geochemical specialists, they work in engineering geology, so they're helping to design dams, bridges, building foundations. Geology is also a really good subject if you're interested in any area of science, geography, environmental science. A lot of my students go on to do engineering, not only civil engineering, where you can obviously understand the link, but other types of engineering. Maybe you just want to do geology as part of a package because it sounds interesting and you're just confident it's going to get you a good A-level grade, which will then allow you to go on to university and do a whole range of different options.
Okay, and someone's asking, does geology go well with biology?
Absolutely, absolutely. Biology tells us about modern day creatures. Understanding modern day plants and so on helps us to interpret fossils. And by interpreting fossils, we can reconstruct ancient climates and ancient environments and tell us something about evolution. So yeah, the two subjects go together very, very well.
Okay, someone's asking, what degree subject would a geology A-level lead me to? I kind of slightly touched on that before,
but anything. I mean, geology is a science. It's also got literacy skills. It's a great subject. So students who've done geology A-level in the past have gone on to do literally anything at university. What they're often one of the reasons why students, as I said, do geology is because they're confident they can get them a very good A-level and be able to move on to whatever their choice is.
Okay, so someone's asking, is it possible to study 4 A-levels? That's a kind of general question.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. It primarily links into some students who do maths and further maths and then opt to do some other subjects, sciences. Many students have done geology in the past. But be aware that universities require students to have 3 A-levels. That's what we're looking for. So it's quite the exception for students to do 4 A-levels. But yeah, that's happened before, and students have opted to do geology as part of that pattern.
Okay, so I think that's it, Ed. So there's no further questions.
Well, thank you. I think our time is almost up. Thank you for participating. If you want more information about geology, you can always go on the website.
Just I mentioned about applying.
Yeah, and if you think geology sounds great, you'd like to do the sort of things that we're doing geology and be confident of getting a good A-level, you can apply on the college website to do the course, along with a package of other things. And then there may be some of you thinking, sounds interesting. I would like to experience a little bit more of this subject, but it can come along to bridging in July, where you get to do taster sessions in geology. If bridging runs smoothly, obviously we've got the COVID problems at the moment, you can do up to 2 lessons in geology over a few days and be able to make that important decision. Is it right for you? Which I'm confident it will be.
Okay, I think that's the end of the questions.
Right. Thank you very much. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the rest of your school, your GCSE exams and or the assessments, however they're going to work. And hopefully I'll see you at QE in September.